Alright, this video is about how your reputation is a part of your identity. I made a post about this not too long ago on my community tab, probably within the last week, and I felt it was a topic that I'd be interested in making a video about. But just to I'll give context as my life lessons on what I learned about how important your reputation is from when I was a kid. But before getting to that point, we as people, we gotta understand, even whether we agree to it or not, the way society is set up, the way that we operate as people, whether consciously or unconsciously, we judge people based on what we know about those people, or what we've heard about those people, or whatever the case may be, whether right or wrong. That's a standard we use to judge people. And if you want to be taken serious in life, or whatever the case may be, whether that's immediate surroundings or later on in life, you never know the extent of who knows who, networking standpoint. You want to make sure you do all that you can, that nobody can throw dirt on your name from how we talk in our community. You don't want people to throw dirt on your name, meaning you don't want your reputation to be tainted in any way, because if it is, it can discredit you. Again, whether right or wrong, that is the way that society is set up. That's how we are as people, is that if your reputation ain't if it's not a good reputation of somebody, you are going to be judged, and you could potentially be discredited and not taken serious, and that would be very problematic to somebody that does want to be taken serious. So that's my little quick spiel about what the post was about. But now going into how I learned that lesson and why it was so important to me. So going back to my childhood, I was a young kid that had a lot of attention, a lot of attention. And so a part of my childhood, I was very analytical, analyzing people all the time, analyzing situations. I would learn from my experiences. I would learn from what I seen other people doing or not doing, or what they shared with me, so on and so forth. So from there, I started to gain this idea that, hey, your reputation is very important and it's something you should take serious. So I started trying to move as such. With the attention that I mentioned, I had a lot of people looking up to me, quote unquote, rather that was peers, and to my surprise, as a kid, some adults were looking up to me, or whatever the case may be, just based on what they knew about me. Of course, sports, but what they knew about me, how I move. My family played a part in that. My mom, my family, as far as my mom, I say that people knowing who my mom was, and she played a huge part in setting a good foundation for me. And then, of course, I'm amplifying it by applying the lessons that she gave me about, just she raised me a certain type of way that, and us being from a small town, word travels fast. So if I'm out cutting up or I'm doing something and people know who my mom is, they're gonna reach out to her, they're gonna let her know, and then here it is, now I gotta deal with that problem. So that's what I mean by establishing a foundation to where your reputation could be about upholding family standards, or your family name, or so on and so forth. So me grabbing these lessons as a kid and understanding people looking up to me and motivated by me, so on and so forth, I wanted to make sure I was what I needed to be, for if there was a kid that was looking up to me, they could have something to be motivated by and to learn. You can move and operate a certain type of way without thinking you need to follow the crowd, or whatever the case may be. So from that standpoint, I'm learning that. So that's the good on how my reputation with people was real good. And even up to this point, all the way to my adulthood, I'm glad I set that foundation, because it then played a huge part in my life now, as far as my experiences with mentoring and working with kids and working with the community. And I've had countless stories shared with me about, the impact that I had on kids and people, and so on and so forth. And it's a lot that I don't really talk to people about, because that's for me. That's me personally. I just don't talk about those type of things, but it's relevant to the topic. And so now that's all the good of how my reputation played into things. There were some bad things that it played into as well, from a representation standpoint, from a superficial, stereotypical standpoint. And I'm going back to high school with this. So where I'm from, we into cars, we into slabs. So in high school, I had a Buick LeSabre tint, the chrome panel on the doors, the chrome rims, bead in the trunk, the little oval vent circles, like the whole nine. Got a slab, got braids, every now and then got beads on them. And so From a stereotypical standpoint, people seeing me and not knowing me, I would imagine they could get a bad rap and not even know I'm nothing like what I guess I present. Not my actions presenting this. I'm out here cutting up and acting like this. No, I was a cool, mellow dude. Stayed out of the way, didn't bother people, didn't want to be bothered, so on and so forth. But my reputation or my representation would probably look as if I was in the streets. I was involved in drugs. I was a hood dude or whatever the case may be. Now, to the people that know me, personally, that may sound funny because they know, hey, nah, he was nothing like that. Now, I definitely would say I had a level of respect for people and from people that though I wasn't in that lifestyle, I wasn't being tested either. And so I say that because I don't want it to get misconstrued as in I'm out here portraying a character that I wasn't. I wasn't trying to portray anything. I was just in the slabs and so on and so forth. So I wasn't trying to portray fake that I was in the street. I was never in the streets. I was never involved in drugs, so on and so forth. But in high school, me and this young lady, we reconnected and we started getting back to a point of getting in a relationship. And then this is where she shared with me, her dad was telling her, no, don't get with me, so on and so forth. And guess what he was going based off of? Never mind the fact that me and this young lady family, me and her dad, me and her mom, we knew each other from my childhood. We went to the same church. Like we are very familiar with each other. So my mind frame is still on that. Like, hey, I'm still the same person that I was as a kid. I'm not thinking about my outer appearance. I'm thinking like, say that same kid that was operating a certain type of way as far as being respectful, yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir, polite, trying to be a gentleman as a kid, and like, hey, that I'm still that. But her explaining it to me, him saying, do you see the type of car that he drive? You see it's her, you see X, Y, and Z, that ain't the type of dude you want to be with, so on and so forth. So from that standpoint, it was like, oh, okay. So I can understand how, despite you knowing me through my childhood, you don't necessarily know if that's still who I am because now how I'm presented. So that would be one way how I kind of seen how your reputation can play in a negative way as well. The last example I give, it was this is early college. I was working at Lowe's. It was this individual from childhood. Me and him was on the same football team. He's of a different race, different nationality. That's going to be important here in a second. But we were on the same football team. And so, you know, familiar with each other in school or whatever. But we from two different worlds. He hung out with all of what would be called the preppy kids, the kids that got it all. And I'm not saying I didn't have stuff, because I'm definitely not saying that. I definitely didn't have what they had, but I didn't have it the worst either. But he would fall in line with the preppy kids, the, you know, nice house, nice this, family structure as far as what it looked like, you know, the whole nine, white picket fence, and just got the good life. We from two different worlds. We don't vibe like that. So we didn't hang out with each other, nothing like that. We just knew of each other. So anyway, he comes in to Lowe's. This is after we graduated at least a year or two from high school. He comes into Lowe's, he sees me, and I look at him, I'm like, hey man, I know, I'm saying this to myself, I know that ain't who I think it is. I'm telling y'all, he looked bad, like drug bad. And so he come up to me, I dap him up, we chop it up for a quick second, and he look at me, lean in, like, hey, you know, he say my name or whatever. Hey, so you know where you got some, you know, some drugs, essentially, I won't say what, but like, you have some drugs, essentially. I forget my French, but I'm thinking this, fuck you approaching me with that shit for? Like, no, I ain't got that, like why? And I asked him, why would you come to me about that? I don't have that. I've never been involved in that. He's like, you for real? Yeah, bro, I'm dead serious. I don't know why you would think I would be the person for that. So what he told me is that, well, in high school, he had heard that I was the person to go to for X, Y, and Z. And it was because of particular individuals that I knew or, you know, was cool with or whatever the case may be. And me and him had a little quick conversation of me telling him like, nah, bro, that's either family or whatever the case may be. But you got it mixed up. I was never involved in X, Y, and Z. So I say that because it just goes with the point of trying to drive it home how important your reputation is, because it does become a part of your identity, whether it's your actual reality or it's not. It is a part of your identity from the outside looking in. So again, just be mindful of how important your reputation is, and you know, keep that with you. Like, comment, share, subscribe. I appreciate y'all for watching.